to my channel and welcome back to one of my favorite videos to film. Also, welcome back or welcome to palette week. I haven't decided the order in which I'm going to post my videos, so this may be the first video you're seeing of palette week. It may not, but we all know palette week is one of my favorite weeks on my channel. I do it 4 times a year, and today we are going to be updating on my Pan Those Eyeshadows series. This was a series that was started by Lexi a couple of years ago. I will have her channel linked down below, and now it has grown into this huge, almost like just like community in and of itself of just like eyeshadow panners, and I freaking love it. What I don't love is that I forgot to put lipstick on, so be right back. Okay, I feel better about the pale lip with the blue eyes. So as I was saying, this has grown into, there's so many people doing the Pan Those Eyeshadows series. So if you are interested in seeing more videos like this, just search the hashtag Pan Those Shadows or Pan Those Eyeshadows. I forget. I'll leave the hashtag link down below. But I know that I have personally found myself down the rabbit hole of the eyeshadow panning videos on numerous occasions this year. So definitely recommend checking out all the other creators that are currently working on this project if you enjoy eyeshadow panning and looking at pans of eyeshadow. I do have some exciting progress to share with you guys today, as well as some not so exciting progress and a shade that I am deciding to just roll out because it's not working for me. So if you guys are interested in my progress, stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave today. I do post a minimum of 4 times a week, so don't forget to subscribe before moving on. And other than that, let's just jump into this update. So one thing that I love so much about this project is I feel like every creator has kind of tweaked it a little bit to best suit their style of makeup application or just like the way that they go through eyeshadow. So the way that I've decided to tweak my specific project this year is I have 5 eyeshadows that I have randomly selected for myself, and then I always choose a 6th shadow myself just to work on and work towards. The shadow that I select for myself, I usually swap out at the end of each rotation whether or not I have hit pan on that shadow. Everything else I either need to hit pan in order for it to roll out, or I need to have that shadow have been in the project for a minimum of 3 months, and I need to have made an attempt to use it a minimum of 15 times. I have decided to give myself a pass of 3 shadows if I haven't reached all of those requirements. And today I have my 2nd shadow of the year that I'm using a pass on, and we will get into that in a little bit. But first, let's jump into the eyeshadows that I was able to hit pan on this month. I did hit pan on 3 shades within this project, and then I do also have 1 bonus pan, which I'm very excited about. So let's start with the palette that has the bonus pan on it. So this is my Novo Dreamy 2 palette, and within this project, I was working on the shade Mirabilia right here, which is this really pretty purple shade. And as you can see, I do have pan on this. And then if you'll be able to see right below it, I also hit pan on the shade Offline. Now, I used the Mirabilia shade. I had used it 3 times during my the last month that it was in this project, and then I just used it an additional 2 times to hit pan. I have used the shade before it being in this project, but with these shades specifically, they are such an interesting and unique texture and formula. It doesn't take a lot of use to hit pan. They're chunkier shadows. Still, I find them very easy to work with. Maybe you have to learn how to finesse the shadow in the way that it's going to best work for you, but I still love this palette and find it very easy to work with. But it did not take too many uses for me to hit pan on this Offline shade. I was a little bit surprised when I hit pan because I wasn't expecting to the day that I did, but thinking about it, I'm just not surprised just due to the nature and texture of the shadow. So I hit 2 pans within this palette, which I'm very excited for. And then I finally did it, you guys. This ColourPop Peach palette has been in this project since the very beginning, since January, and I finally hit pan on the shade that I was working on right here. It is in the shade Get Even. I hope you'll be able to see the pan there. I had used this 20 times before this update, and I used it an additional 5 times to hit pan on this, meaning I used this a total of 25 times in order to hit pan. Now, I did enjoy using this palette, and I really love this palette. and specifically that shade I enjoyed. However, I feel like I would have preferred to work on either of these two shades, just because this one pulls very heavily like pinky coral, so, and it is also very intense. So sometimes if I tried to wear it to work, I would really have to like sheer it out, so it didn't look like I was trying to just be like wha-bam, full glam at work. But I was finally able to pan on this. I don't know, I wouldn't be mad if I rolled in a different shade from this palette. If I were to roll in the glitter shade, obviously I would roll in something else. Also, my palette, if you own this, my palette probably looks a little bit different because my palette fell on the floor, a bunch of shades fell out, and then I just popped them back in, so they're not necessarily even in the right spots, but whatever. I hit pan on this one. And then the fourth and final shade that I hit pan on within this project comes from my ABH Mario palette. I'm considering doing pan that palette next year, and specifically doing this palette because I love this palette, but it's getting older in my collection and I would love to just get some really great use out of this. But I do now have pan on 3 shades within this, technically 4 if you include the pan you can see in this, but this shade was something that fell and shattered and I repressed, and it just repressed weird. But the shade that I was working on in this project, or this rotation, was this shade right here, which is in the shade Isabel, and as you can tell, I do have pan on that. I'm also pretty close to pan on Violetta, I can tell. In fact, maybe I'll select that as a shade I choose for myself to work on. I might choose another shade out of this palette, actually. We'll see. We'll see. But I was able to hit pan on this as well, which is very exciting. I hit pan on 4 shades this month. I think I'm up to, let's see. So I'm up to 23 eyeshadow pans that I have hit this year alone, which is exciting. At the beginning of the year, I gave myself a goal of hitting pan on just 20 shadows, and I've already reached that goal halfway through the year. So I think I'm really gonna challenge myself and push it to 50. We're gonna go with 50, meaning I'd have to pick up the pace a little bit. And I had a really good month in the last 6 months where I hit pan on 7 eyeshadows. So 50 is really gonna stretch it. It's really gonna be a push, but I never back down from a challenge. I'm very competitive. If I have not told you guys this on my channel before, I probably have, because I feel like I tell the same story like 80 times over. Mini golf was something that eventually got banned on vacations in our family because I was too competitive and it always left my sister in tears. Monopoly too. We had to throw away all of the Monopolies that we owned in our house because I'm just a little too competitive sometimes, and my sister was not so competitive, or just did not love the competitive nature of her big sister. Okay, so that just leaves the other 3 shades in this palette. So the one that I'm rolling out is going to come from the Pure Festival palette. I was so lucky to have rolled in this hot pink shade. This has now been in this project for 3 months. Up until this update, I had used it, how many times have I used it? I had used it 6 times, and I only reached for this one an additional 1 time this past month, leaving me at a total of 7. And I'm just not enjoying trying to incorporate this one into any of my eye looks. I really like this palette, with the exception of the 2 bright colors, which, I mean, they're not bad. I just don't reach for shades like that often, and then I don't really care for the pressed glitters. Aside from that, I do actually really enjoy this palette, but I am just going to use this as a pass shade, roll this out because it stains the eyelids and I'm just not enjoying using that. And then last update, I rolled in the Subculture palette, and thank the frickin' heavens, the shade I rolled in was Electric, which is my favorite shade in this palette. However, I did only reach for this 2 times this past month, so I do really need to step it up. I don't know if you'll be able to see any sort of change within the shadow at all. I mean, there's a slight dip to this. This is an interesting shade because I do feel like you get like, I don't know, it's just an interesting texture. You get like hard pan, and you have to like really dig your brush in to get like the vibe that I'm usually going for. But it also is like a really stunning, unique, and beautiful shade when I finally like build it up to what I want it to be. So this actually is the only shade that will be staying in the project, and then we will be rolling in 4 new shades. The shade I had selected for myself to work on came from the Saharan palette by Juvia's, and I chose this shade right here, which is in the shade Zoya. I only ended up reaching for this 3 times. You can see like there's a little bit of disruption in the pan, but not much. I am going to roll this out. I was reaching definitely for my ColourPop shadow more than this, and then I've just been playing around with palettes. I'm trying to get all my usage in on my palettes before I do my quarterly wrap-up, where I talk about what palettes I use the most and which palettes I didn't use at all, and if I didn't use a palette in the last 3 months, then I declutter it. So I've been trying to, you know, we're getting to the end of it. I've been trying to use my palettes, which is why I didn't use this as much as I thought I was going to. I also didn't love this shade. I felt like the texture was a little bit dry. It could be because my palette is a little bit older, but it just didn't offer the impact that I get from some of the other like more vibrant shades in this palette. So I don't know, I just wasn't that impressed from this shade. There are other shades in this palette that I absolutely love, but that one did not impress me, so I will roll in a different shade that I select for myself to work on. So that being said, I'm going to start my swatch of my quintet, and the only shade that is staying from this past rotation is the shade Electric from Subculture, which is right here. And then we are going to randomly select 4 new shades for me to work on, as well as me select an additional new shade for myself to work on. Okay, so I've had some new palettes come into my life through BoxyCharm, etc. And then I also ordered a few new singles. So we are up to 1,227 shadows of eligible shadows. Some of those do have pans on it, and if I somehow happen to roll an eyeshadow that has pan on it, I will re-roll. But I'm going to jump into the Pretty Random app, and we are going to randomize 1 through 1027, whoops, 1027, and we, oh, I forgot I can shake. We get number 970. I forget how I add these. Okay. And then we get number 261, 675, and 284. Okay. Okay, I am going to go see what these numbers correlate to, grab the palettes, and I will be back to show you the shades. Okay, so I don't know how this happens of all the freaking numbers that could have been selected, but I do have a gap in my spreadsheet. I forgot of a palette that I deleted, and then one of the other numbers that I randomly generated came from a palette that I'm actually planning on decluttering. So we need to re-roll 2 more numbers, and we get 147 and 613. Okay, you guys, super funny. I will get to the irony. Oh my gosh, I am truly an idiot. Sound spelling and spelling never my thing, but I usually like to think of myself as knowing words. You guys, I was so nerdy back in the day. When I would write my papers, thesaurus.com was like my BFF, and I was that nerd that literally went to the library, bought a mini pocket thesaurus, and would carry a thesaurus with me. Okay, let's get into the shades. Okay, so I don't remember the numbers, but I remember the shades. So coming out of my Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette, I'm really excited. This is newer to my collection, and the shade I got was this one right here, which is in the shade Vintage Taupe, which I freaking love this shade. I feel like it's going to be a really easy one to work on, and I actually feel like I'm going to be able to pair these two together really, really nicely. I'm really excited to work on that. The next shade comes from my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette, which I am also very, very excited about. Okay, I forgot which one. I had to go back and look. I forgot which one it was. I'm nervous for this. Okay, so this comes from my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. I do have 2 pans in this palette, which is really exciting, and I love this palette. It makes me so sad that this was limited edition and you can't get this anymore, because this is by far one of my favorite palettes in my collection. This is going to be one similar to my ABH Mario palette. I feel like that the packaging is just going to start like crumbling apart. But the shade that was randomly selected is this shade right here in the shade Ultimate. You guys, I mean, I've been playing around with colors, but not colors like these. I mean, I guess it's a good time of year to pull this kind of color. So there is Ultimate swatched right there. Very beautiful shade, very beautiful. And I've been having fun playing around with blues, but more like blues that are on my eyes right now, not these like we're swimming in a swimming pool type of a blue. And speaking of blues that I'm working on, the next shade that was randomly selected for me comes from my Natasha Denona Gold palette, which I was really excited for until I saw the shade that was randomly selected for me is this shade right here, which is in the shade Aurora, which is beautiful, but hopefully, I don't know, maybe I can get it to, this is also more of like a topper, so maybe I can have some luck with this. There it is right there. That is the shade Aurora. It's a little bit more sheer than I was expecting. You guys are gonna have to leave me your ideas down below for how I can hit pan on these shades, because I feel like the panning gods up there are really challenging me with this color story. And then the ironic shade that got selected for me, you guys, was from my Baby Got Peach. Isn't it weird how you say things like, oh, I wouldn't mind working on another shade from here, and I have literally over 70 palettes in my collection that could have been selected from, and this is the one that got reselected. So from my Baby Got Peach palette, I'm actually really excited. I selected the shade Glaze It, which I may, so this is what is currently in mine. I think Glaze It actually might be this shade right here, just looking at the, when I was looking at online to see if I could match it up. So I don't really care. I'm going to go with this one right here that's actually just popped into the Glaze It, even though it might not be the right shade. This is what this looks like. Oh, maybe I should have gone with the other one. So this almost looks like a creamsicle orange sort of shimmer, but it does look very, very beautiful. You know what? I actually really like my like variety of colors. I think it's actually really fun, especially for this time of year. And I've been having fun with color lately, so I'm glad that I don't just have like a boring neutral-ish palette. Okay, and then to choose the shade I want to work on for myself, I think I am just going to choose one from my ABH Mario palette, just because I want to continue working on this, and I might try and go easy on myself, and I think I'm going to choose a shimmer, and if I happen to also hit pan on this Violetta shade, that'll just be like a bonus. But I'm going to go with the shade Fifth Ave, which is a really beautiful, just gold shimmer shade. I think that will be an easy one for me to wear to work, and that I should have no problem hitting pan on that. That Glaze It shade from the Peach palette is also really pretty. I'm very excited about my color story for this one, you guys. Leave me your comments down below. Let me know some color stories, color schemes, maybe some ideas that you guys have of things that I could create for looks with this color palette. But I hope that you guys enjoyed I hope that you guys enjoyed today's Pan Those Eyeshadows update. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what eyeshadows you have recently hit pan on. What palettes are you working on? I would love to hear from you guys. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you always do. And I will catch you in my next video. Bye, guys.